Well, as promised, I said that Yes would be in the studio, and ta-da, here they are. We've got John Anderson and Trevor Rabin. Welcome.
How you doing?
I'm just fine. So, I mean, out on the road once again.
Yes, it's wonderful. We're excited, and we're very excited. It's wonderful.
Cold and excited. It's not too cold here this time, actually.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
You're very lucky, actually.
Yeah. So we've heard.
Coming back out on the road, are you doing something that has never been done before? I mean, what can people expect when they're going to see the Toronto show tonight?
He always points at the hard questions. Well, this time around what we did was we just wanted to go out and just feel like the band's playing really strong together. And we were just really excited after being in the studio for so long. We just wanted to get out on the road. So yeah, we got all the lights and the all the stuff, but the essence is the music. We're really, really getting up and playing. And people are enjoying it. You know, I think people have seen so much of the hullabaloo that just having good music, good sound is making a big difference.
Are your audiences, is your audience a real listening sort? That's what they're there to do, is to really listen?
Yeah, I think this time...
Scream a lot.
Yeah, they get crazy at the end, which we all do anyway, so...
Which eggs us on.
Yeah, but the audience attitude to Yes is always different, you know. It's not a continual flow of short songs. You know, we play one or two very old songs, as well as a couple on the new album are pretty long, and you get a little bit of intense energy from the audience when you're performing, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to go on tour now, is just to get into the swing of touring. As Trevor said, we've been off the road nearly 2.5 years, and you get, what's the word? You get very frustrated when you're not on the road, because that's really your reason for being in a group. You have to play to people. Making records is a sort of part of the business, and videos is crazy anyway. But being on the road as a group is the mainstay of musicians, and the audience interaction is like total energy, you know?
Right. Well, maybe we should run away immediately and play the new video and then come back and talk. Yeah. Here's Love Will Find a Way on Much Music. Back with Yes in the studio, and the new album, Big Generator, it has a few producers on it, Trevor, you being one of them. Well, what's it like? Can you be objective in any sort of way and still play on the record?
You have to be. I mean, at the point where you start getting involved in, well, on the mix, for example, you've got to kind of take off the hat of musician and put on the hat of producer and get involved on that level. But, he'll talk about that.
No, I don't know anything about producing.
No, talk about me.
Yeah, sorry. Trevor. Hi, Larry. Trevor is wonderful.
God, I can't afford this.
$5 a time.
$5? American or Canadian?
American, thanks.
Oh, it's only Canadian. Well, you'll have to pay up later.
And he's really wonderful. No, actually, the album was it was going through a lot of trials and tribulations, as all albums do. There is no such thing as an album that's made without a little bit of pain. That's part of making music, you see.
And paying.
Paying. But Trevor really pulled it out of the fire and did all the mixing at the end. And that was the key to the album, I think, the actual mix of it and the presentation at the end of the road, you know. So he did a great job. And it's the first time that he's been given that free rein to just produce. And no problem. No problem.
No, that's $10.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a little more of a sort of driving edge to this record, and also I think the last one. I mean, are you responsible for that in any kind of way?
I think there was a stronger cohesiveness within the band. Because the last album we just started, you know. This album we had, I don't know, 350 shows under our belt.
Yeah.
So, you know, whatever it was. But, you know, we knew how to play together. I mean, they'd been playing together for a long time, but, you know, there was still Tony Kaye and I coming into the situation as we did. You know, we had to find out how this thing was going to work, and the first album we were lucky enough to come up with some songs and pull it together, but this one was a little more natural in how it was developed.
if we can just get real technical here for a second and talk about something like song structure. I mean, in the early days of Yes, there was more, well, there were concept albums, and the song structure was a lot more intricate, and you seem to have pared down that whole idea. Now, does that take away from the fact that you're presenting yourselves you're presenting yourselves as pop songwriters instead of the instrumentalists, which I think really came through in the early stuff, is that you all were tremendous players?
I don't know. I think there's a couple of songs on the album. One is Shoot High, Aim Low, I'm Running, Big Generator. They're not your commercial idea songs. They're very stage-orientated music, and we still try to bring out that energy of the band's structural musical energy. And you know, we have to be aware that to survive in this business, we've got to be able to get on radio or on much music. And in order
here we are.
And here we are. And in order to do that, you just got to try and marry the two together, you know, the sort of pop feel and the musical ideas as well.
And it's not a contrived thing. It's very natural. It's just, you know, we just do it, and whatever feels good, we do. One of the things, talking as a producer, which is a great luxury, is if there are songs which sound different on the album, which is something that we went for, that could be looked upon in some cases as being fragmented and not having direction. But one of the things that pulls it all together, John's voice is very distinctive, and it's thanks. John's voice is very distinctive, so it's easy to change a lot of things because there's always that thread.
But is it in any way a sacrifice? I mean, to get that more pop.
It's hard to say. We had to really pull the band's image into the 80s. With the help of Trevor and the band's attitude to making music now, you know, I can always think that maybe the next album will stretch our musical wings a little bit.
As we do on stage. You know.
Yeah, we do it on stage. We're still playing, you know, And You and I and Heart of the Sunrise type music, which is very old, 15 years ago, right? And it still sounds, to us and to the audiences that we play to, it still sounds current in musical terms. It doesn't sound dated. Maybe we just live in a dream world and we think it's just, that's the way it is. But from what we can gather from critics and audience reaction, the old songs and the new songs are really like that, and it really works.
Well, you hear a lot about, in a band's career, the difficult second album. Well, what's the 16th album like? Is it difficult, or is there another word you'd like to put with that?
There's always that pain. I don't know why, I don't know where it comes from. There's always that element of, you know, you go in there thinking, oh, this will just take a few months and it'll be fun and then we'll finish it, get on tour. But there's always that sort of something that happens, you know?
It's much easier to make an album that fails. So you can't go downhill, you know? It's always harder to sustain and keep it up.
And do you feel that pressure? Do you feel that when Yes makes a record now, it's got to be fabulous because you don't want to be one of those bands that, you know, gets to putting out 16 albums and then it just isn't working? Don't you put more pressure on yourself?
Yeah, that's why we're on the road. We still got to prove it. We still got to prove that we're a good band anyway, whether we have Big Generator is selling a lot of records. But we still got to get up on stage and put the show together, because that's what a group is, you know?
Well, let's go back to the last album and the first really huge hit, which I found really hard to believe when we're actually looking at numbers, that was your first #1 hit, Owner of a Lonely Heart?
Yeah.
Took you a while, guys.
Yeah. Well, you know, patience. Actually, in the 70s, we didn't work towards the single market. We worked towards making albums which we could present on stage on a sort of new way of looking at music, you know. We were sometimes totally appreciated and sometimes totally bonked on the head, you know, for being naughty boys. How dare you make music like that, you know? But times change, you know.
Do you think they're changing fast enough that would make you go back into the studio the next time and put together a concept album?
Depends how we feel at the time. You know, what we did with this album, there was no contrived thing as this is what we're going to do. We're going to make 3 hit singles. We're going to make 5 songs which appeal to the older fan. There was no kind of demographic thought that went into it, or you know how it's going to be manipulated by radio. And we just went in and did the album, and after the event then started considering, well, where can we place this and do this, and then started planning ahead. So, you know, I think the next album will also just happen naturally, and then we'll see what happens from then onwards.
So each album has been very different.
We might finish the album and say, we better do another single. Better do a single for the album.
Yeah.
You know, that could happen. But
Well, we'll see. We'll run away here and play Owner of a Lonely Heart and then come back and talk about solo projects and Canadians and things like that. Here's Owner of a Lonely Heart on Much Music. That was Yes on Much Music, the nation's music station. 24 hours a day, live in stereo. And here we are, live once again.
In stereo.
In stereo. Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hello, hi.
Solo projects are something that seem to keep bands going. They run off and do something a little different. And there's a Canadian connection here because you cropped up on Gowan's latest album and also in a video. I heard you met at a Dodgers game or something?
That's right. I was invited to go see the Dodgers by Larry's producer, David Tickle. And they were sitting there. I think we have sort of distant relations because his parents are Scottish and my father was Scottish. So we had a good time and had a few beers and cheered on the old Dodgers, and I think they won. So we struck up a sort of friendship, and the next time I saw him was in the studio when he was recording. I was recording just a couple of doors down. I was doing some sort of ancient Indian music, and he invited me along to hear a song and just suggested would I mind doing a little bit of vocal, and I was very happy to because, you know, he's a good guy and he makes great music. So
He's a tremendous keyboard player.
yeah, and guitar player too. Very.
Are solo projects important to kind of keep you focused on Yes, or go out and do something completely different, or what?
before I joined the band, that's what I was doing. So for me, it's really just been put on hold, and as soon as we finish the touring, I'll be starting one, and I'm really excited about that. So it's nothing new. It's just something you do, you know. So it's not, for me, it's not really a solo project. It's just something I've always been doing, and I'm getting back to it this year. Next year.
Don't you worry about them sounding the same as the last project you worked on? I mean, is it going to sound like a Yes record or what?
No, because I'm going to be singing on it.
Ah, okay, that'll be a very distinctive change. Well, I'm so glad that you're still out playing live, because as we were saying during the break, you're one of the best bands to see live for great technical playing and great sound, and I don't know how you manage it when so many other bands don't seem to manage it. If I could use that, thank you. Well, that's tremendous. You want to respond to that in any way?
Well, we appreciate the compliment. We obviously worked very, very hard at getting it, the dynamics of the show and working the audience and ending off a show with people having a good time.
Yeah, it's going to be fun tonight. Looking forward to it.
Well, if you have fun, then everyone else will have fun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you for having
And
me.
we'll see you next time around.
Ciao.
Here's some Gowan on Much Music. Thanks for the money.
Okay.